Before starting the video, everyone take 3 seconds to like and subscribe to my channel, please. A long time ago, there was a beautiful kingdom floating in the high sky. On its throne, there lay a white cat, and in the opposite land, the land of darkness, a black cat had fallen in love with her. The story begins here, in the land of darkness, where countless monsters continuously appeared. Hunger forced them to venture out to hunt. But today, when the young man just started his journey, the monsters attacked. While he tried to lead the children away from the monsters, on the way, unexpectedly, they encountered a huge centipede. It attacked their group. As they tried to escape from the centipede, 2 children were attacked and didn't survive. He took the girl and tried to escape, but since she was too small and poisoned, she also died. Afterward, when he returned to the village, he found nothing but ruins. There was no one alive. At that moment, an old man approached. He asked him, "This village used to have many people, didn't it?" He replied, "That was before. Now it's all gone." Seeing him exhausted, the old man gave him a piece of bread. He ate it hungrily, as if starving. The old man's name was Skia. But when he asked the young man his name, he replied, "You can call me whatever you like." He had a question. Is this land ruled by the Dark King? If so, why does he allow monsters to run wild and let the people suffer? And does the king even care about justice? The old man found this young man quite interesting, so he gave him his sword and told him to attack. After a short fight, the old man fell to the ground. He looked extremely tired. He had fought the reigning Dark King to claim the throne, but due to his old age, he couldn't win and was severely injured. He wanted the young man to take his sword to the capital. There he had a noble mansion, and the sword was a symbol of leadership. When he arrived, he was to declare himself as the Dark Prince, the successor to the throne. There he would meet a knight named Valos. If he saw this sword, he would certainly take care of him, and once he gained recognition, Valos would be loyal to him. The old man saw himself in the young man and believed Minfi would succeed. A flash of light appeared around the young man, and just like that, the old man quietly passed away. This is Iris. She is from the Kingdom of Light. She is fighting the monsters from the land of darkness. She is also the queen of the Kingdom of Light. This flamboyant guy is the head of the knight's team, Fai Yu. He started leading the attack on the monsters. While they knew, the leader's name was Sima. They fought until nearly dusk. When they returned, Sima told everyone to rest. Sima's 2 younger brothers waited outside to go home with her. Sima told Fai Yu, with the power of the ancestral water language, defeating the Dark King wouldn't be that difficult, but she still had some concerns. The balance that must be maintained still requires both light and darkness. Is that why the queen hesitates? But from the bottom of her heart, Iris wants to defeat the Dark King. Sima's brother told her to stop and not say such things. On one side, Iris was thinking about something that troubled her. She said to the national advisor that the invasion of darkness, though difficult, was still halted. But next time, she couldn't be sure of the outcome, because the Dark King was growing stronger than ever. She wanted the military advisor to prepare well for the next battle. While Minfi was walking, a man wearing glasses blocked his path. He asked where the sword he was carrying came from. Men asked if this was the city where Sia's mansion was located. Seeing men speak so arrogantly, he drew his sword and said that it was his master's pride and ordered him to return it, then realized that this was Valos. But when he heard that his master was dead, he went mad and attacked men. He asked why men had come here and what his purpose was. Men said he was the Prince of Darkness, the heir to the throne. That was the code phrase Skia used when she was alive. After hearing that, Valos sheathed his sword and accepted men as his master and led him to the mansion. Back to the light, Iris was praying. Sima walked up to greet her, but Iris didn't like that, because the two had been very close since childhood. She considered Sima like a sister. The two had trained together to become heirs to the country. But Iris was the one chosen. Now, the war with the Dark King was getting more intense. Both just hoped that the next generation of Dark Kings would be better than the current one. But what else could they do? As they were talking, someone came in with the news that the West Capital was under attack and that it was by BA, a very powerful enemy. The two immediately rushed to the scene. Seema sent word to the Women's Guild to quickly gather and prepare for battle. As for Iris, she immediately flew there. She saw BA, who looked like a golden-haired monkey with wings. He saw several nuns singing on the roof. When they saw BA, they panicked and attacked him mercilessly. But it seemed that none of it worked. With a simple flick of his tail, he destroyed the tower where they were standing. The soldiers below shot arrows up, but it had no effect. It was just scratching his itch and marking their position for BA to kill. A spark shot out. It was Alantia. She fired back and forth for a while, until she finally hit him once and got sent flying. Once trapped, he just waved lightly and escaped. He just spat out some mucus, and those warriors went back to the dust. Immediately, while they were unsure of what to do, the queen arrived. She charged at BA. But from my perspective, this guy has thick armor. Down below, the soldiers of the Kingdom of Darkness were in a frenzy, attacking the followers of the light. Iris cast a spell and threw a flashy attack at BA, but he just used one hand to deflect it. Then, he counterattacked. BA, from above, just waved his hand, and several people below sacrificed themselves. BA threw several energy orbs at Iris, and she was very agile at dodging them, avoiding most of the attacks. Because her energy was limited, she couldn't use too much. BA realized that she wasn't serious about fighting him. He got annoyed and left. After the battle, there were many casualties. Iris felt quite sad. Meanwhile, on the dark side, Knight Valos was having an audience with the king. The two talkative gods next to him didn't see the king, so they asked him. Their attitude was very unpleasant, because in this attack, most of the casualties were his subordinates, so he wanted to speak out against this pointless war. Suddenly, a dark energy surrounded him. It was the Dark King. As soon as he returned, he killed this chatterbox. He said, "Why does the sky still exist? And everything will fade into darkness, forgotten. And even the cracks, the light that shines through, are only ghosts. Everything will be consumed by the darkness." And BA represents the selfishness of this world. The New Age no longer needs him, so I must destroy him. Men was waiting at home for Valos to return and asked, "Where have you been?" He said he had just returned from the Dark King's place, because he is his servant and also a potential successor to him. Men wanted him to teach him how to use a sword because even he couldn't defeat him. How could he become the Dark King then? Valos said that was true, but without knowledge, one can't be a king. He handed men a pile of books and told him to read them. Also, he needed to improve his way of speaking, because it was too crude. From that day on, the two of them practiced sword fighting in the mornings, and during the day, they read books at night. That night, Valos brought him the clothes he wore when he was young. This is Rosa, who was going somewhere with her subordinates, but she said she was tired and wanted to stop to rest. While sitting, a swarm of monsters came to attack her. She easily defeated the monsters with just a few light strikes. However, while she was happy for killing them all, one of them attacked her when she wasn't paying attention. Before she could react, men ran by and decapitated the monster. He greeted her briefly and then left. Before she could ask his name, the soldiers next to her told her to hurry. If not, he would be gone by now. Rosa called men back, saying that he was the one they were looking for. The two went to the tavern to talk. She wanted him to compete with the other candidates. As long as he won, he would become the Dark King. It wouldn't be too hard. Iris was sitting, thinking about the battle with BA, when Seema came. She wondered to Iris if the previous queen ever made a sad face like hers. Before, the two were very close. They were always together, wherever they went. Even when eating, Iris would go to Seema's house. Two said she could come any time, because it would just add 8 more chopsticks. It wasn't difficult. Later, Fayu took Iris home, and it seemed her brother quite liked her. When Iris was enjoying the breeze on the mountaintop, a dark army appeared. Seeing this, she ran to call for help but was too late. Iris turned around and risked fighting back. A beam of light appeared around her, dispelling the dark army. Then a dazzling glow appeared in the sky. On our side, the Dark King was about to be revealed. He must use his family's identity to attend the ceremony. Rosa, the reward for the highest-ranked competitor, was a great Kuzo sword. It's said that whoever possesses this sword will become the Dark King in the future. The rules of the competition are as follows. Everyone must fight against these monsters. The 2 candidates will finally settle the match with a solo battle. Everyone was ready, and the monsters stepped forward. They charged while some shot arrows, and the mages used fire. The girl used her skill to burn the monster, but it not only wasn't harmed, but also turned and attacked her. Seeing this, one of the men ran and stabbed the monster. The girl didn't thank him, but seemed displeased. Everyone disapproved of the way he saved her. Then the boss monster appeared. It was quite strong, and knocked most of the people down. The red-haired man rushed in to attack the boss. But he did no damage, so men jumped onto the monster's head and stabbed it. He struck from the back of its neck. In the end, only men and the red-haired guy were left. During the break, the red-haired guy asked men why he saved her. He answered, "Because I saved anyone I see in danger." That's it. The fight resumed. The two seemed evenly matched. After a while, men knocked the red-haired guy's sword away. He pressed the sword to his throat, but didn't kill him. He asked, "Why?" He replied, "Because I want to be the Dark King and change this world to make it better." When everyone was happy, that person didn't believe it. He turned around and grabbed his sword and continued to strike at our protagonist. But the result was still the same. He was defeated by men. The sword was placed at his neck. Men won and received the sword, becoming the Dark Prince. Talos came to assign them a mission. In the name of the heir, the throne at the top, and the second in command, he wanted them to deliver this message to the kingdom. Zero, the red-haired guy, proposed an idea that he would pretend to be the Dark Prince because the two kingdoms were at war. And with his current status, he was afraid that he would be harmed if he went there. Aiden only wanted to pretend to help him. If anything happened, he would take the consequences. After a while on the flying ship, they finally arrived at Zero Kingdom. As soon as they arrived, the person who greeted them was this white-haired knight. Before saying anything, he pointed his sword at the two of them. Not very friendly. But Aiden said they didn't want it this way. It was all because of the Dark King's orders. If they didn't comply, they would lose their lives. He wanted them to reconcile with each other until the Dark King was dethroned. But the knight said he had no right to do that. Then he went back to report to Iris about them. He took both of them to the city, but they weren't welcomed very much. When they arrived at the palace and met the queen, men encountered her, and it seemed like he had fallen for her. The two wanted an alliance to reconcile with the kingdom. Zero to destroy the aggressive entity. Like BA, that's what they wanted. The two sides needed to unite. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Aiden asked Iris's opinion. What did she think? She didn't want to answer this question yet, so she said to wait until another day. The next day, they were summoned again. Iris wanted to ask Maine a question. Aiden quickly replied that Maine was just a bodyguard, so it was hard to answer. But she insisted on asking him, how did the people of Kuzo feel? The strategist next to her also said she shouldn't ask a commoner like him. But Iris still insisted on asking Maine. He said that every time BA appeared, countless lives were put in danger. He wanted the treaty to be signed. When that happened, countless lives would be saved. Upon hearing that, Iris agreed to the cooperation proposal. Seema and her team returned from reconstructing Metis. On the other side, BA was attacking the Dark City. Valos and Groza were preparing to fight him. Valos and his army attacked him, but with a simple wave of his hand, he defeated all of Valos's subordinates. Rosa below also shot arrows and stones at him, but there was no damage at all. Indeed, VIP armor was impressive. She shot a lightning bolt at him, but it had no effect. Nothing happened. Many spells were cast. BA only needed to wave his hand to break them. He started retaliating wildly. Many mages tried to hold BA back for a while. Rosa and Valos attacked him with all their might. But just like before, it had no effect. Valos moved forward and struck him a few times. Then BA roared loudly. Everyone couldn't move. Then the king of darkness came to help them escape. He created a smokescreen that enveloped everything, then began attacking BA. Suddenly, a chain appeared and bound him. Finally, the King of Light Iris arrived. The two of them attacked BA together. After binding him, they took him to a nearby volcano and immersed him in the molten lava. Iris immediately returned, but she seemed to be exhausted. Men noticed she couldn't stand and rushed to support her. With a gentle touch, then Seema and the others arrived and saw she had no response. Because of using too much energy, Seema immediately took her back to the room. Iris herself is a medium for the great power of the ancestral water language. The pressure on her was too great. Aiden came to meet the protagonist and wanted to invite him for a drink. But he wasn't interested. Aiden told him that Seema is his type, so he wanted to approach her to get to know her. The head of the knights came to find the two of them and announced that BA had been defeated. Over here, Valos met Rosa. He wanted her to deliver a letter to the kingdom of Ciro. He was tired from fighting BA and had to leave right after. But when she thought about the protagonist being there, she cheered up and went happily. She went to see Iris, along with the protagonist and Aiden. In the letter, it was written that the Dark King wanted a temporary truce with the Kingdom of Light. Iris decided to accept the offer, then wrote a reply letter. While waiting for the room, Iris took everyone for a walk around the city. They met a boy who was Seema's younger brother. It seemed he was helping an injured animal. Although very young, this child had great talent for magic. After healing the animal, Rosa found them very cute. Unlike the ones back in her hometown who were just troublemakers, she noticed that he seemed to like Queen Iris because he kept staring at her like a fool. While complimenting the clothing of both nations, each having its own beauty, suddenly Rosa wanted to try on clothing from the Zero country. Iris had something in mind. She then made Groza and Seema change clothes together. Iris asked for opinions on how the clothes fit. Groza said it suited her very well. I personally don't think it suits her at all. Right, guys? Ben just kept looking at Iris and grinning like an idiot. Aiden asked Men which one he liked, and he looked confused. After a while, Men replied, "They're both pretty." Seema invited everyone to stay and have dinner at her house. Everyone was very excited about it. Rosa also brought food from Kuzo. She wanted to let everyone try the anchovy dish. Iris asked everyone how the food was. Aiden answered without hesitation that the food at home was perfect, just like in the palace. Rosa let everyone try her food, and they said it was salty. It seemed that the two countries had quite different tastes. She came up with an idea to mix the two dishes together. I thought it looked like pig food I make at home. After eating, they all praised how delicious it was. So they all mixed the whole pot and finished it. After finishing, Iris wanted to make a wild vegetable dish, but they had to go pick it, so she scheduled to go together the next morning. The next morning, they went together to pick vegetables. Aiden came up with an idea to divide into pairs and see who picks more. Right after that, the night imagined going with Iris. Meanwhile, Grossa also hoped to go with the protagonist. Before choosing the pears, Iris reminded everyone there are some poisonous vegetables, so they need to choose carefully before picking. She only taught them how to pick each type of vegetable. After dividing the pears, everyone got started picking vegetables. The pair of Aiden and Seema seemed to be growing closer. On this side, Iris's group, along with a little boy, found a lot of interesting things. They complimented Iris for knowing a lot about wild vegetables, which made Iris very happy. Iris was sitting by the stream washing vegetables. While she was running towards it, he threw a stone and fell towards Iris. Just like that, the two of them fell into the pond. Men asked her if she saw the kid, but she said the boy had already brought the firewood back to Seema's group. Both of them were wet, so they had to dry their clothes before heading back. When they got back, everyone immediately started preparing for the meal. It seemed like it was a proper vegetarian meal because it was all just vegetables. After returning, it seemed Aiden received a letter or something. It seemed the Dark King wanted them to return right now. Fai Yu came to return the weapons to both of them. They went to the palace and said goodbye to Queen Iris. After a bit of conversation, Aiden began to show strange signs. He went crazy and transformed, looking very grotesque. He simultaneously drew his sword and rushed towards Iris, who was sitting. But men came from behind and made a slash at Aiden. Men appeared quite sad after the situation that had occurred. When something unexpected happened, to Iris's surprise, Fai Yu came near, grabbed Men from behind, and then struck him, calling him Kuzo, a bunch of savages. Fai Yu stomped on him for a while. Then he ordered his soldiers to tie Men up with ropes, and later he would take care of him so Men would reveal everything he knew about Kuzo. Outside, Rosa and the ship were attacked, and the attendants came to inform her about the two people being captured, so they had to leave immediately. That night, Fai Yu regretted the alliance between the two kingdoms being a mistake. He wanted to offer his life to the queen and protect her. Meanwhile, Iris was praying to the ancestral water spirit. A voice came from the stone. It told her that she had to make the decision herself about what she needed to protect. Men woke up in a dark dungeon. He then tried to recall that he had been beaten and locked up here. Men didn't understand why, at that time, he had killed Aiden and protected the Light King. Because of the two of them, they came here to strengthen the friendship between the kingdoms, Kuzo and Siro. Also, that's why he had helped save her, right? He didn't know that Aiden had received a secret order to kill the Light King. If he hadn't stepped in to save them, would it have been better for the people of the Kuzo Kingdom? He didn't know, so he wasn't sure whether his choice back then was right or wrong. At that time, he had told Iris that Kuzo and the people living there were the same. It was just that the king's order was something no one in the kingdom could resist. He hoped she wouldn't think badly of them. So now he felt it might not have been necessary to say those words to the Light King. Suddenly, a white cat appeared in front of the dungeon door. It seemed to want to say something. Then, the dungeon door suddenly opened. The cat seemed to want him to follow it, so he followed it. The cat led him running on rooftops and walls to a mountain peak. There, his two swords had been stuck. On there, the cat emitted a light, and Iris appeared. She was unconscious and fell into his arms. After a while, she woke up, and they looked at each other. She then held his hand tightly. In their eyes now, there was only each other. Iris said that this world has both darkness and light. If they want peace, both things are equally important. Men hugged her, and then said that his identity was the Prince of Darkness. She said she had already felt that in him before. He confirmed that he would inherit the position of the Dark King. At that time, they would bring peace to this world. The soldiers chased them here, and he didn't have much time left. So he said goodbye and left immediately. The next few days, Iris continued to fight against the Dark King's army. She received news that the capital was experiencing their presence. Although they were just a minority, it was important not to let our guard down. There were also reconnaissance troops appearing in other areas. The national priest asked her what should be done about the situation. She said she wanted to increase security and be on the lookout for any dangers. She would stay behind and support everyone. Yu wanted her to rest, since she had used up a lot of her energy in the previous battle. Yu then went to find the elf brother about how to treat Iris. He said it was quite difficult because she had been exhausted from the battle with BA. Physically, she had recovered, but mentally, she was still not okay. Her magic conduits hadn't fully recovered, so it would be hard to recover. Therefore, they would have to let it heal naturally. He said there was a place, Kwang Hui, which would help her recover faster, but it wasn't very promising, because reaching that place was already a big challenge. Yu insisted on doing it, and asked him to guide them there. Meanwhile, Sima was casting a spell, seeming to use a high-level spell that required great focus to cast. She was distracted while casting, and suffered backlash. Just as she was about to redo it, someone came to report that the knights were nowhere to be found. Iris also learned about Yu. Sima thought he had gone to find a way to treat Iris. Spirit led Yu to a cave, and they entered it with some hesitation. After returning, men thought a lot about the fact that the people of both kingdoms were suffering from many unpleasant things, and Iris was under a lot of pressure from all this. He trained diligently and hoped that one day he could be by her side. Valos told him, from now on, he must not have any connection with the kingdom. This was also the order of the current king. The king's orders have always been absolute. This is how the world has always operated. Rosa rushed to the two of them. The king sent her and men to the front lines to eliminate the monsters, because the soldiers couldn't usually defeat them. When they left, Valos went to meet the Dark King. He received the order to march to the Light Kingdom. Meanwhile, our main character was with Groza, fighting monsters. While in battle, Groza slipped and fell down the cliff. Seeing this, men immediately jumped to save her. He grabbed Groza, then drove his sword into the cliff and slid down. Rosa then blushed, thanked him for risking his life to save her. While trying to climb back up, the two encountered a strong minotaur. Meanwhile, Iris was facing the Dark Army. Both sides were in an intense battle. But Yu was going into the cave to play with the spirit. But he was just being useless. Even climbing the cliff almost made him fall. Everything seems to be under that guy's control. The two of them slowly entered the dark cave. They couldn't find the way out. The elf took out a glass lens and saw something and moved closer to investigate. Unexpectedly, it passed through like that. Both of them went inside. The elf then took out a crystal ball. He threw it, and it exploded like a mine. Yu, finding it interesting, also asked for a turn. Yu found that it didn't work. He ran and tried to slash the crystal with his sword, but it didn't even leave a scratch. The elf told him to step aside and used his power. He struck with thunder. Then came fire and water, using magic. The door opened, letting them in. They saw a pool of light energy, but it contained dangerous power, making it hard to approach. They didn't listen to what the elf said. Yu walked into the water with burning determination. He moved forward and obtained the glory, but I don't understand why his gloves were corroded. while the half of his body submerged in the water remained unharmed. He returned to the Kingdom of Light, where it was being heavily attacked by the Dark Army. Iris, along with the mages, was trying to create a shield to defend. After successfully casting it and repelling the Dark Army, Iris was exhausted, but it could only hold them off for a short while. Meanwhile, Men was facing a challenge called the Horse Bull. With Groza's help, he defeated it quite impressively. He thanked Groza, which made her blush. Then the two returned. Rosa wanted to invite Maine to dinner because she had caught some fresh fish. While eating, Maine started babbling about promises with the King of Light. Rosa approached and told Maine that she was always ready to be by his side whenever he needed her, because from the first time they met, she had admired him deeply. She believed that in his heart, the King of Light was the one men always thought of. Is that true? He nodded in agreement. Then Garose immediately left, so no dinner for them anymore, poor Maine. Meanwhile, the useless Fai Yu brought holy water to Iris. He asked Sima to help Iris use it to get home. Sima scolded him for neglecting the soldiers because of a 0-7 defeat of MU. He went into the cave, neglecting his main task. Men was talking to the people. When the soldiers arrived and took him away, the battle between the two sides was extremely tense. The Dark Army had the upper hand. They brought a huge army. This time, the Dark King was also involved. Iris went to confront him and end it once and for all. Below, Sima and the mages were also trying to defeat their own people who were out of control. Valos had met Fai Yu. The two started exchanging attacks. The Dark King said something complex to Iris and finally released his power. Both sides used light and darkness to fight for a while, but neither caused any damage to the other. Turning to Valos, he asked the fool Fai Yu what drove him to fight. Fai Yu said it was loyalty to the queen. Valos said with such a nonsense goal, sooner or later it would lead to defeat. The ideals of both were different. And BA's emotional strength, well, stop it already. Valos spoke. Fai Yu was knocked away. Immediately, the two launched their final attacks to finish the opponent. On this side, the Dark King was playing with Iris. He was relaxed while fighting with her, along with his sword flying toward the Dark King, while aiming to stab him, but he just dodged lightly to the side. He said BA was once very arrogant, but people who boast can never do that, because they are all losers. She took a hit from the Dark King and fell. Sima couldn't use the ancient primordial water power. She knelt and begged to grant her the strength to win, but it was no use. It was a dream. Because the spell didn't work, she decided to fight barehanded with the enemy soldiers. But at that moment, Iris also fell to the ground. She said there was still one way without using ancient power. That was one of the 7 other sources of power. The gears of destiny. If they could channel all their power into it, perhaps it could change the outcome. Sima gathered everyone and used their strength to perform the 7 defeats technique. The Dark King had arrived. Sima said for her to go ahead, while he stayed behind to block him. Sima said for her to go ahead while he stayed behind to block him. She trusted and bet on her queen. Sima was immediately controlled by the Dark King. Iris then returned to the palace next to the stone containing the primal power. Back to the protagonist. He was quite surprised when he met Aiden because he was still alive. Aiden said he was also a potential heir, just like him, and his monstrous nature was much stronger than his side. He asked him why he attacked the King of Light earlier. Aiden said it was the king's wish, and also the desire of the entire kingdom. The king wanted to eliminate him here. Aiden emitted a dark energy, transformed into a different form. Aiden shot an energy ball toward Men. He barely managed to block the attack. Men also showed he wasn't weak. He released a terrifying energy, knocking Aiden back. The two rushed into combat. Then, Aiden was restrained by rocks and debris. But it didn't stop him. He circled behind Maine and bound him with dark power. That guy shattered Maine's armor, then flicked his head. After continuous attacks and injuries, Men was knocked down and his sword was taken. Then he was stabbed in the stomach. He tried to grab his sword from behind and stabbed Aiden. The sword pierced his head. The wound was quite severe. But until now, he had been buying time for the main forces to attack Zero Kingdom. Meanwhile, the Dark King was absorbing primal power if successful. Everyone would fall into eternal darkness. Aiden disappeared shortly after. Now men fought alone against many of the Dark King's soldiers. Then Rosa came to assist him, saying, "Leave this to me. Go save the others." Men wanted to quickly go up, but there was no faster way to get there. Suddenly, light flashed around him, and he grew wings. Men didn't understand why he had these wings, but with this new power, he could quickly fly up in time. Seema, when caught by a wave of darkness, she seemed lifeless, while rambling about the power Iris had, which was everything she wanted. Fortunately, she accidentally escaped and wasn't controlled. Meanwhile, Men was desperately flying as fast as he could. He was trying to reach the Dark King quickly. Iris was praying for a good ending, and now she could only rely on Maine. On Faiyu's side with Valos, seeing that the situation wasn't looking good, he immediately retreated. The ground began to shake and collapse under Faiyu's feet. He was buried under the rubble shortly after. Iris was also buried. At that moment, Men flew to try to reach her, but was too late. The entire floating kingdom was slowly collapsing. After she died, she turned into a white cat. Men risked his life and charged towards the Dark King. He held his sword tightly and struck him. Men and the Dark King died shortly after. The movie ends here.